All right, everyone, welcome to our video today. So today we're going to talk a little bit about food prices and kind of cost of living things here in the Philippines. I'm going to try to keep it on the food level, but sometimes I tend to stray off topic. Hey, it's just the old Southern part of me, okay? Deal with it. Where this video is coming from is I was watching Overstay Road, and he's been doing a lot of videos up in Angeles City, and he's been going to the Oppo market and another market up there. And I've been really kind of paying attention because I noticed right away that he's actually paying a little bit less for some of his vegetables and things like that, even fruits, than we are paying here out in the province. So then I started noticing in the comments there was people talking about, hey, what we're seeing is the price of groceries in the Philippines isn't much different than what it is in the United States. For now, maybe. I don't know. We'll have to see how that plays out. So the commenter in Mark's video, he was exactly right. The food cost isn't a whole lot different compared to what it would be back in the United States. But there is some differences, and I'm going to cover that a little bit in today's video. And so where I'm coming from, guys, is me and Christine have lived as a married couple in the United States, and we have also lived in the Philippines as a married couple. And so we can give you a little bit of this price comparison, and I don't know, take it with a grain of salt, but this is what we have found. So back in the United States, we lived in Oklahoma. If you don't know that from watching my channel in the past, I'm from Oklahoma. My wife, I met her in Oklahoma. We got married there. And so when we started living together, we found that our grocery budget, under normal circumstances, when we weren't going out and eating out a lot, tended to be around $400 a month. Of course, we are going to places like Walmart, the Asian grocery store in downtown Oklahoma City, or in that area anyway. See, where else did we shop? Sometimes we'd go to some like cost-saving place or whatever, type. Crest Foods. That was always a big one we went to. But their grocery prices were about on the same lines as what you would find in Walmart. So that's where the places we shopped. We did not go to the farmers markets. We did not go get our meat from a butcher shop out in the country or something like that. We mainly shopped at the big stores, and that will come into play here in a minute. So in the United States, we would often go out to eat. Not often, but we did. We would go out almost every Sunday, like after church or something like that. We'd go out to eat. Usually it was for breakfast or like a brunch or something like that at this little Vietnamese place. Sometimes we'd go get some pho if it was a little bit later in the day or something like that. But that was pretty much the extent of our eating out. Maybe once a month we'd go eat some Thai food or some, better Japanese food or something like that. But we really didn't eat out a whole lot. Christine was not accustomed to that. And when you're married to a Filipina, they do not like spending a lot of money on food. Going out to eat is not a huge thing for them. It's not a must thing that they have to do. And so that's how we lived. And our food budget there was about $400 a month. And we would eat real similar foods that we are eating here. Like I started eating a lot of, Asian type food. Now, Christine is good about trying to cook me American food whenever she can and things like that. And she did that more often in the United States because she could find the ingredients. Now, here in the Philippines, it's a little bit more difficult to find the ingredients for my American style food. And to be honest with you, I've just gotten to where I eat whatever's put on the plate in front of me. I'm not picky about it. Now, since we have moved to the Philippines, We do live out in the province. We do not have fast food that is readily available. The nearest Jollibee's 40 minutes away, something like that. Same thing with McDonald's. And we didn't even have a McDonald's that close until probably the last year. The nearest Shakey's Pizza is like almost 4 hours away. And that's really about the only place you're going to get real pizza. Now, I did find some at Uptown there in Tondog just the other day, and they actually used mozzarella cheese, and it was really good. It's a really thin crust pepperoni pizza, and it was reasonably priced too. You know, it wasn't huge or anything, but man, the flavors were really good. So I can get some real pizza, some real American style pizza, about 40 minutes away. Well, when you've got to go 40 minutes on a motorcycle, and you might get rained on, that is a deterrent to keep you from going out to eat very often. Now, here in the Philippines, here locally, there's a little place, Castor. It's a little restaurant there on the beach, right in downtown Lanuza. And we go there from time to time, maybe about once a month, to go out to eat there. But really, our eating out here in the Philippines is really slim to none. Maybe twice a month if we're lucky. And that might be a trip to Tondog, one trip per month to Tondog, and then maybe one trip, into town to Lanuza to eat at Castor. So most of the time, we eat here at the house. I've got my personal chef, and she's great. Keeps me good and fat whenever I want to be, and it's awesome. Now, what we have found is just our regular grocery bill, this is not the eating out, is about the same as it was in the United States. Now, here's the big difference. The type of food that we get. Now, here out in the province, we don't have access to a lot of the same foods that they have up in Angeles City and in the bigger cities, Manila, Cebu, whatever. We just don't have access to that. Like, for instance, I can't just go out and go find some cheese, like some cheddar cheese. I got to drive 5 hours away to Butuan to find some cheese, and it's very expensive when you find it there. But it's possible to find it. Now, you live in the cities, you can find it all day long. You can also find good deli meats, and you can find steaks, and you can find things like that. I don't have that availability here. It's not available. You'll hear that a lot. Not available here in the Philippines. And so what I do end up eating is a lot of just local Filipino food. So I've really had to embrace just the local food here. Now, can you get processed foods out here in the province? Yes, you can. You can get a lot of it. You can eat potato chips. You can eat you can go to a sari-sari store and you can find all this sweets and all kinds of mess out there if you want to eat it. You can go to the grocery store, the little grocery store here, and you can find all kinds of canned meats, potted meats, whatever. One of my favorite meals is my corned beef and egg in the morning. And that's about the extent of my processed foods that I eat, is a little bit of that Argentina corned beef. I love that stuff. But one can goes a long ways. That will last me for several breakfasts, because once Christine mixes it with the onions and the other stuff, the garlic and what have you, she'll just put a little bit on my plate of rice and egg and my peppers that I go with it. I like mine spiced up, and that goes a long way. So that's the extent of my processed food eating. Everything else I eat is very, very fresh. I don't drink the milk here because it comes in a box and it's ultra high processed. I've gotten to where I just don't drink milk anymore because of that. I don't want to drink that ultra high processed milk. And you can't find like the regular milk. You're going to go to Brahms or you're going to go to Walmart or something and find. You just don't find that here. Not out where we live anyway. And so Yeah, most of the stuff that we have though is very fresh. So we go to the farmers market every Thursday, or it's the market, but it's similar to going to the farmers market back in the States. All the produce is fresh. Very little of it is even shipped in. There are some things that come from like Davao, like some Fuji apples and whatnot, but most of it is grown right here locally, like the potatoes, the long beans, the calamansis, all the typical sweet potatoes, all those kinds of things. Those are grown right here locally in this area, right here in this Lanuza Bay area. And so it's very fresh. The fish that we get at the local market, we don't even really buy that much fish from the local market because we have fishermen, whether they're through relatives or what have you, that they bring it right off the boat, and they'll get a hold of Christine and say, hey, we've got this catch and this catch today. Are you interested? And they know what kind of fish and seafood that we like. And so, yeah, we'll get those calls, and Christine will go buy a kilo or 2 kilos or whatever they've got. And it works out well. So our seafood is extremely fresh. You're going to have a hard time finding that, especially in Oklahoma. You won't find it in Oklahoma. But in most of the United States, you won't find seafood as fresh as we have. Our pork is fresh killed that day. It's not been frozen. It's not any of that stuff. It's been butchered that morning, and they're chopping it up, and that's when we go get it. We also have our local source here on how we buy that. And so really the only way you're going to find fresher meat in the United States is if you go to like the butcher shop out in the country somewhere where they have just freshly killed a calf or whatever, and you're going to get your beef that way or your pork that way. So our meat is very, very fresh. Chicken's the same way. We don't eat frozen chicken. We just don't. If we have any kind of frozen meat, it's when Christine buys like, let's say we get a good deal on some pork or some fish and we just can't eat it all. Well, she'll cook as much as she can, and that way we put it in the fridge and we eat it through the week. But if there's even more than that, that she can't cook it and we can't eat it in a week or something, then we put it in our own freezer. And that's as frozen as our food gets, is it's been frozen in our own freezer. So that's your big difference. So for about $400 a month, we're eating fresh food for the most part. The freshest food that you can imagine. And so the only way you're going to compare, if you want to do a proper comparison with food in the United States, you're going to have to go to your local farmer's market. You're going to have to go to your local butcher shop to find, vegetables and fruits and meats that are as fresh as what we're buying here. And that really makes a huge difference. Like the meat and the stuff we have here have not been genetically engineered. They haven't been shot full of antibiotics or hormones or anything like that. They just don't do that kind of stuff here. And it's very good meat. And so that's your difference. So if you're looking to move to a place like the Philippines and you want to come here and save money, that is very possible. And I'll tell you that here in just a minute. But when you're looking dollar for dollar and what it's going to cost to eat here, well, number one, it's going to be relative. It's going to be subjective. But most of the time, it's going to be right about the same because that's what we have. I don't have a big box store where I can go get processed food and the stuff you guys get at Walmart. I don't have that, where I can get it cheaper than I can buy it at the farmer's market or the market here. So there you go. You're not going to save a whole lot on food. Now, where you will save by living out in the province of the Philippines is there's not this big pull to do things the American way, right? Like, I don't live out here. I do have American and Western neighbors. I do. But we all kind of live the same way. I'm not living in some neighborhood like you'll find in the bigger cities. I'm not living in a condo where there's a bunch of Americans or people from the West. And I don't have that influence, I guess, to continue living the Western lifestyle. I just don't have that. And so it makes it real easy to just adjust and live like the Filipinos do. That's one reason I don't necessarily need a vehicle. I know a lot of you guys out there that live here in the Philippines, you guys enjoy that. You enjoy your freedom. And hey, to each their own. Live your life, I'm going to live mine, right? But out here where I live, I don't have that necessity, and it is really nice. And I have that when it comes down to food too. So yeah, if I lived up in Angeles City or something like that, oh, I'd definitely be going to Poppy's Grill and Chill, or I'd be going to Paisanos, or I'd be going to Tequila Reefs a lot more often. I'd be hitting those places all the time because, number one, they're there, you know. But when it's not convenient for me, nah, I'm not going to go. If I was living up there and I had Western or American buddies that I like to hang out with, and they call me up and they're like, hey, Tim, you know, let's meet down there at Tequila Reefs and let's have a margarita and eat some Mexican food. Heck yeah, I'd be there, you know. It would be a lot easier to do that. Out here where I live, no, I don't have that influence to do that. And so that is one thing that saves me a lot of money, is I don't have that influence. I don't have that peer pressure, I guess, to have a vehicle, to have a certain kind of motorcycle, to have a certain kind of house, to have air conditioning, to have any of those things, or to even eat a certain way. I have more of a push to eat like the Filipinos do. And I'm not talking about like your richer or middle class Filipino. I'm talking about eating like the poor Filipinos do. And I do eat a lot of that. Matter of fact, you know, my wife, she goes out to the reef and she gets baruni, which are just little shells. But she enjoys going out there and doing that. And she'll bring that back to the house and we eat it with our rice or something like that. And we can make a meal out of it. And that's free, except for the rice, you know. So there's your differences, guys, of living in the province out here in the Philippines. Yeah, we're going to pay our budget's usually about $400 a month. But the food we eat is actually better for us than the food that a lot of Westerners eat in the big cities here in the Philippines, and definitely a lot better for you. Unless you're going to like the farmer's market or your local butcher shop in America, that's going to be your only comparison. But you're going to spend a lot more than $400 a month for that kind of food in America. So there you go in a nutshell, right? A lot of it's subjective. It's how you want to live your lifestyle, and I'm not judging anybody for that, and I don't expect you to judge me for it. It is an adjustment. It is something different, but hey, that's why I moved here to the Philippines, right? I didn't move here to live like an American. I moved here to live like the Filipinos do, and I've learned to adjust to that. And it's been really nice. It's nice not having those influences that you have in the West, where you have to wear a certain kind of clothes, or you have to drive a certain vehicle, or you have to eat at certain places, or you have to drink a certain drink, or you get the gist, right? So anyway, guys, I hope that kind of clears it up for you a little bit. Man, if you have any more questions, just hit me up in the comments. I'll answer them for you. All right, guys, I appreciate y'all tuning into this video, and we'll catch you on the next one.